Yeah, on Thursday, it was a good meeting with Carl. But,
Yeah, actually, I talked to a couple of the people who went, and they said that they're new guys. Will DeRizio and a couple of others.
Yeah,
said it was really good.
I couldn't. We got the one TV, the HDM going, but we didn't have a splitter, or I couldn't find the splitter. So we'll figure it out. But we had a hotspot. They had no internet, so we had a hotspot that Doug brought in, which was good, and it worked fine.
Yeah, that's just dumb luck because the internet, I think that's the first time we've ever had an issue there with it. So, oh, look at that. Scott's on the beach. That's my old background. What's up?
Yeah, West Palm Beach, not too bad. Of course, that's not really the West Palm or West. What am I saying? Key West. I'm at Key West. I was at West Palm yesterday. Today I'm at Key West. So
it's not snowing there, covering all your stuff in ice.
There's white stuff on the ground, but it's not snow. I've determined that. So
okay, well that's fine then.
I determined that.
I'm watching Jake and Kayla in Texas right now at the base, or a couple miles outside the base, and literally their vehicles were covered in ice. Like, that's not Texas, man. That's not Texas. That's so messed up.
Not Texas. That's for sure. Well, good morning, everybody. So far, Angel, glad to see you made it on.
Good morning, Scott.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Morning. Good morning. Allison coming in out of California. She is.
So what's Joe doing? He's not at IBS this week, is he?
No, he had to. He has a very big multi-family deal going down that he's working on.
Oh, is that his? Wait, is this another one in addition to the one in Greece?
Might be the same one.
Oh, okay. All right. I knew about the one in Greece. I thought that one was already done. I don't know why.
Yeah. So
he's keeping that one, right? He's going to cash flow it.
Yeah, he's going to keep it in cash flow. Yeah.
Awesome.
How's everything going up there? What's the weather like up there, Andy?
You don't want to know.
Okay.
I don't know. We got a couple inches of snow the other day, but it's supposed to be a high of like 10 tomorrow, I think. They're saying, and a low of like -4 in some areas.
Whoa.
Yeah. So tomorrow will be interesting. Today's fine. Tomorrow will be interesting.
Speaking of Texas, we have Mr. Texas himself coming on here, and he's on now. Leon Griggs is on.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Good morning,
I'm just
Leon.
gonna grab my I'll be right back and grab my water.
All right.
Good morning.
Good morning, Leon. How are you?
I'm okay.
Good morning, Leon.
Good morning, Dee. How are you today?
Doing fantastic, I believe.
You said fantastic, right? That sounds like you.
She didn't say fan-damtastic, so I guess there's that.
Yeah. Yep.
Apparently my mic is on.
Okay. Let's wait a couple more minutes, see if more people join. Then we'll get started.
Get all the stragglers in here.
Yep. Yeah. All the cool people come on before 9.
Is that what it is?
That's what, yeah. So I'm usually come on after 9. Usually. No.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, Joe reached out. I'm like, yeah, I can do it. And then we had a little issue we got to take care of this morning with our camping arrangements. So no big deal. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
They kicking you out?
One of
What
the-
did you do? You having those loud parties out of your camper in the middle of the night?
That's it. Yep.
Thumping the bass?
Yep. After last night. Yeah. Loud parties, late parties. And this morning, for some reason, at 7:00 in the morning, somebody felt the need to run his leaf blower around his little campsite. So
Wait, what? At 7 in the morning?
7:00 in the morning. Like, dude, what the? Oh my good Lord. But no, we had a little problem between the reservation we made and the camp office here. That
Oh,
so they're like, just park in the parking lot overnight and we'll figure it out in the morning. I'm like, okay, cool. I said, I got a meeting, after my meeting, we can figure this out. So not a big deal. We'll get through it. It's just,
did they double book a site and leave you in the parking
might
lot
have,
with no
yeah.
electricity?
yeah,
That's nice.
yeah, exactly.
Good times.
Maybe I treat it like an air flight, say, okay, well, I'll bow down, but hey, you got to do this in exchange for it. So,
Right.
But, so last night we just put together a couple backup plans for just in case. So we'll see what happens. Just a
where-
day in the life, man.
Where are you camping, Scott?
Key West, Florida.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yep. Very nice. We plan to be over California way, April, May-ish.
Hmm.
They're Camp Pendleton there by San Diego. So,
That's beautiful there.
yeah. Looking forward to it. And we're going to do that via Houston. We're going to stop and do the Houston rodeo for a couple weeks at the end of February, beginning of March. So, and we're going to go to Mardi Gras too on Fat Tuesday, February 23rd, 21st. We're actually going to be going through New Orleans. I'm like, oh man, I can't believe New Orleans, same time we're going, or Mardi Gras, same time we're going through New Orleans. So we're going to
Awesome.
stop and do that. We won't go with the RV, of course, no. So we'll park the RV outside of New Orleans and then make our way down through. So, yeah.
All right, great.
All right. Good. Okay, well, it's 9:00. We'll get this thing kicked off. Good morning, everybody. I'm Scott Spear. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a full-time RVer. My wife and I sold our house and 90% of our contents in November of 2020. We were in Rochester. Been living in the RV ever since, and it's been really good. Grew a decent real estate business in Rochester and travel around the country. Honestly, in Rochester, New York, if you can't make money in real estate and you want to make money in real estate, that's the best place to do it, in my opinion. But I mean, there's lots of ways to make money, and that's what we're talking about today. This is the alternatives group. We're part of FREIA. We're a subgroup of FREIA. We talk about alternative investing, how to make money in real estate other than landlording. There is another group that does landlording. They meet every other Thursday that we don't, and a great group. If you're thinking about landlording or are landlording, I highly suggest you attend those. Those are great meetings. But we talk more about other ways to make money in real estate, whether it's lending, self-storage, commercial, buying notes. We talk about those things. We'll let conversations go to landlording if it's pertinent to this, which part of it is, because it's all about investing in real estate. And we'll let those conversations go on for a little bit, but if they start to get too involved or too long, I'll step in. And I'll apologize now for stepping in. I'll step in and say, it's more of a landlord group question. And then, but a lot of ours is more Q&A. What questions do you have? Where are you struggling in real estate? What do you have going on? What do you want to do? And we do that. And we break this into 3 parts. we're not tax accountants, we're not attorneys. We just give information, we share information. The disclaimer that you read at the beginning, if you know, the things I talk about are pretty much based on my situation. It may not work for you. Like I said, you may want to check with your accountant, a tax preparer, a lawyer, another consultant type person, to see if it fits your needs. So that's the thing. And then to break this into 3 parts, what we do is we go around the room. We'll do intros. Since it's a smaller group, I know we have a few newer people on here. I think we all should do an intro on ourselves, and we're going to talk about who we are, where we're at, where we live, and where we are in real estate and where we want to be. And then we'll go around the room. We'll do have, needs, wants. That part, if you have a real estate deal that you're looking for, or something that you want to sell, or you're looking for a contractor, we'll do that. And that's really quick. It's have, needs, wants. If you don't want to speak at that part, you don't have to. And then we get into questions. So the have, needs, wants is like very specific. It's, I have this property to sell. I'm looking for this property. It's that specific. Then we'll go into the Q&A part, where we just kind of open up. People can ask questions. If you have a deal you're working on and you need some help getting through it, that's great. Well, if you had a question on another way to make money in real estate, that's what we talked about then. So other than that, I've done my intro, and the only thing I'll add to it is because of this, born and raised in Rochester, did 6 years in the Air Force, came back, was working a corporate job. So this is good, but I need to do something a little bit more. Build up a real estate portfolio. And a lot of that has to do with this REIA group. I had a lot of help with this group. That's why I'm still with it. A lot of people helped me get where I'm at. And, you know, I like to give back and help other people to succeed. And every time I'm on these things, I learn something too. Leon Griggs played a big part in my success in real estate. He helped me learn how to use self-directed IRA money to make money in real estate, and just really grabbed a hold of that and did really well. Built up a decent sized real estate portfolio in Rochester, sold it all off in 2019 and 2020. And that's when we moved into the RV and we shifted over to self-storage. And now the main focus is all self-storage. I've done a lot of money lending, wholesaling, flipping, rentals. That's just kind of my background. So that's where I'm at. So what we'll do is we'll just go around the room, and I'll just call people out. And what I'll do, I'll start with Andy. Go ahead, Andy. We see your dog in the background. Go ahead, you're up.
Yeah, she's limping around a little bit. She got fixed the other day, so she's feeling it like 2 days ago. And anyway, Andy McQuaid. I am a consultant to the real estate industry. I work with mostly multifamily buy and hold value add investors, anywhere from around 100 doors up to as many as 35,000, 34,000 and change. And I help them increase their NOI and other things past the NOI. NOI is great because it raises the value of the property and does all those fun things that makes it worth more. But there's a couple line items that aren't included in NOI that I can help with as well. Basically, I just help people put more money in their pockets. Yeah, that's me. That's about it. I've been doing this since 2019. And prior to that, I spent like 23 years in building materials, supply management, everything from driving a forklift to managing a store to district manager for Home Depot for 11 years to running a national sales team that was selling into Canada, Japan, Mexico, Puerto Rico. Yeah, so that's me.
Cool. All right. Let's see, Leon, I'll come to you if that's okay. I was going to save you for last, and I will do that if you prefer. Leon, for people who don't know, was the president, and he ran FREIA for a lot of years, and it's because of him that FREIA is still surviving. So he ran it through COVID. It was quite a feat, and I am grateful that he did that. But Leon, go ahead and introduce yourself, sir.
Okay. First of all, thanks for those nice words. And for folks who don't know, Freedom First is a not-for-profit group. And that means that people freely give of their knowledge and information. And that's one of the main reasons why it's successful. It works out very well for individuals who feel, I use the word need in quotes, to give back. And for me, it was a great ride. I started off looking at real estate. I spent 37 years working at Eastman Kodak Company. Came down, I should say up if I want to be directionally correct, to Rochester because I took a job with Eastman Kodak. And when I did that, I came from Houston, Texas. So whenever Scott mentions that rodeo, I used to actually, I've actually been on a horse and buggy and rode in that rodeo more than once or twice. So it's a great time. Get a chance. Anyone else? It's nice to spend your vacation there. Back to the real estate. I mean, there's so many pieces to it that to really be successful, you got to carve out an approach and take that approach to allow you to be successful. And that's where this group and team really helps, because they do the things that largely folks pay a lot of money for. And it's because it is a not-for-profit group. What we do is we are pretty open with our information, and our success comes when people are successful, and we have a fair number of people that I think I could put into that box. So that said, I'm going to give it back over to Scott, and look forward to seeing some folks in person at the meeting coming up. Scott, before I go, let me just cover that real quick, and that is the meeting coming up is going to be at Ferrari's, and the format. I beg your pardon? Oh, okay. I heard someone, so I thought maybe I was incorrect with what I was saying. It's going to be at Ferrari's. It's on next Thursday evening. The format is you can get there as early as 5 o'clock to do networking with folks. Then at roughly 7 o'clock, we actually have our general meeting, and then roughly at 7:45 or 8 o'clock, we actually start networking again. Been some very good turnouts here lately. The session coming up is going to be one associated with a very important subject that a lot of people don't master until later on in their real estate investing careers, and that's private lending. Private lending is one of those things that I can almost guarantee you anybody that's around here that's really successful has mastered that component of how you get funds to do real estate investing. So we have a panel of 5 people. So we got Joe McGuire, and we did this last year and decided to do it again because we felt that it was very important for people to have a understanding of it and see and hear some of the folks who are private lender. Joe McGuire, Michelle Wheeler. We'll also have Steve Peterson, who is going to be there, and he's there representing the legal component of what it is that that will be taking place. For folks who don't know, Steve Peterson is the lawyer that most of the folks utilize that are part of Freedom First. And then the person that I haven't mentioned is Mark Kaminsky, and he is a private lender. And also, we're going to have Greg Taylor, who's going to be joining that group as a speaker, talking about how and what they do from a private lending perspective. So that's a quick run on that. Andy, I miss anything there?
Nope, I think we're good. Hopefully Zoom will work because Thursday they had no internet. So we're hoping that they get that resolved for the meeting this week so we can actually get it out on Zoom for the people who can't be there in person. We'll try to figure out a way to record it either way. So.
Okay. Scott, back to you.
All right, cool. Thanks, Leon. And thanks for all that other info. And all right, next up we'll do Gabriel, go ahead.
Okay, hi guys. Good morning, everyone. My name is Gabriel Petzios. originally from Rochester too. So I am in my former life, I was a restaurant owner for 22 years and sold it during COVID out of all times and at the right time. And I've always wanted to get in real estate. I wasn't sure which exactly avenue I wanted to do. And I joined FREIA a few years ago, and the first person I met was Mr. Scott Spear. And he was actually the very first person to come up to me and introduce himself to me. And ever since then, I've tried to lay the foundation. And then I got into self-storage through my through my sister. It's another story. But in any event, though, she showed me the way. And here we are today. I'm a wholesaler, and I will have my own property very soon. If we get one of these properties under contract that we're working on right now. So what else? So yeah, I do self-storages with Mr. Scott, and I'll mention more of that in the haves, wants, and needs in a minute too. So thank you all for your time. Thank you.
Cool, thanks. Allison, I know you've been around a little bit. I'm gonna let you go ahead and introduce yourself. I'm saving the newer people towards the end so they kind of get an idea of what they're looking for. Thanks, Allison.
Hi, I'm Allison Russell, and I'm originally from the Syracuse area, but now I live in Los Angeles. And I am new to real estate investing. I've been planning to do real estate for a long, long time. I probably started planning about 6 years ago. And then a little over a year ago, my husband and I decided to go ahead and start. And I joined FREIA, and I purchased our first property in May of last year. It's still under renovation, so I'm getting the experience of running a major renovation from 3,000 miles away. But I'm hoping that it's going to be done very soon.
Great, thanks, Allison. So anybody who's in the area and invest in real estate or thinking about it and have some challenges, Allison's actually, like I said, she's doing it all the way from California and she's investing in the area. So it just kind of shows you what the value is of investing in the area and that it can be done remotely. It's not without its challenges. Allison and I have talked about that a few times, and she's really persevered. So and worked her way through it. She's doing a great job. All right, Angel, you're next.
Hello, I'm Angel. I am from Rochester, New York. I've been attending FREIA since I think when I moved back in 2017, and more on the support side of things. But this year I'm taking a new approach to it. I'm excited about it and going into real estate investing myself. And I'm just excited to get the information that I know you all have to give and learn from. So that's all for me.
Great, thanks, Angel. Jay, go ahead.
Yep. Hi, my name is Jay. I'm a buy and hold investor. I'm originally from Syracuse too. So, but I went to college here in Rochester, RIT, and then I came back and worked. And my day job is an IT guy. But like I said, I'm buy and hold investor. I have about 17 units. My first investment property that I bought was in 2019. I am currently working on I have a 5-unit multi-use building that I'm buying now. We'll probably close in about a month. But that's, Rochester is a great place to invest. So.
Great, thanks, Jay. Brian, we'll let you go ahead.
He may be at work. He might be running a machine right now, possibly.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know what I don't know what Brian's really doing.
Well, thanks, no problem. And Brenda, say the best for last. Let's go ahead. Brenda, I think they answered your questions in the chat. It is at Ferrari's Pizza in East Rochester. Did you have any other questions about the meeting?
No, thank you. So hi, everyone. I'm Brenda Redding. This is my first meeting. I'm new to the group. Professional background, I'm going to date myself, but early in my career, I was a business and accounting background and actually co-owned a telecommunications company back in the late 80s and early 90s. Went back to school to UB later in life and became an occupational therapist. I've been in healthcare for 25 years. Worked my way up into leadership and administration and actually left that W-2 job in November because healthcare has just gotten untenable with the COVID and everything. I just couldn't do it anymore. And I'm developing my side gig, which is I work with a cost segregation firm. In terms of real estate, my experience has been the last 3 houses. I bought 3 houses the last 10 years that were a value add, did renovations and sold all 3 of them at a profit. The last one I did last December, and that was a house in Brighton, and ended up getting a huge profit on that one. I've been looking for, an investment property for maybe a year, up to a year. Mostly my goal at the time was just to supplement, to have another asset to supplement some future income for retirement or whatever, an additional revenue stream. And initially started looking at, I lived in Florida for 10 years. That's where I did the telecommunications company. I was looking at the West Coast of Florida, and that's just crazy cost prohibitive. I just can't believe it. And was looking also in Rochester, made some offers on duplexes and, nothing worked out. And so now I'm in this place where I'm developing, it's the first time in my life I'm a 1099 person and not a W-2. I still have some money that I need to do something with. And just looking for the best way to go about that. And here recently, broker that I was working with a little bit last summer reached out to me on a 12-unit off-market property in Medina that the owner is willing to hold the note on. So doing the due diligence on that. I know Pat Gallagher, I think you all maybe know him. He's one of my clients. He's been just a great guy, and he's been coaching me and helping me on the due diligence on that opportunity. So still not sure if I want to be a landlord. So I'm exploring. I want to see what the other options are. And I think that's pretty much me.
Okay, great. Perfect. Thank you very much. That's great. And okay, what we'll do, I know Dee is the person behind the curtain sometimes. When you see the Freedom First REIA there on your Zoom, that's Dee. She's an awesome person. I don't know if she's on right now, but Dee, would you like to do a little intro on yourself?
Yeah, a very brief intro. I'm a free assistant manager and a real estate agent here in Rochester, New York for Berkshire Hathaway, and a member for FREA for, gosh, we won't date that one, but anyways. I've had some properties in the past, still looking for properties. It's great being a landlord, especially with Section 8, only because I didn't lose any money during the COVID era. So, but other than that, that's pretty much my bio.
Excellent. Thanks, Dee. She's also an excellent cook and baker. All right. So, okay. So that's that part of this session. Now we go around the room. We'll have needs wants. Like I said, if you have a property you're looking to sell, or if you're looking to buy a certain property, or you're looking for a contractor for a certain type of thing to be done, that's where we bring up this. And I'll kick it off. And how we do, for me, I'm looking for self-storage. Anywhere in the country, the numbers have to make sense. We've been talking to a lot of sellers lately, and it's probably like real estate was there A year ago, yeah, you could have sold your self-storage facility for that when interest rates were, 3.5%, 4%. Now they're 8.5%. So yeah, we've had to have those conversations with some people, and they're still kind of stuck on their price, which is fine. We just kind of, have a good day, move along. And then we circle back around with it, because time and circumstance could change things. But yeah, I'm looking for self-storage anywhere in the country. That's me. Go ahead. Who else would like to go?
God, I'll go. Since,
All right, good.
so just like Scott, I'm looking at for self-storage anywhere in the country. Again, if the numbers make sense. And yeah, we got some real whack jobs of people that need to come down to reality with their numbers. So and again, we'll circle back to them again in about a month, because I know they'll come down to reality when it hits them. Seriously, So but yeah, anywhere in the country, any I would say any size, but ideally 70 units and above, or 10,000 square feet and above, ideally. But again, if the numbers work in any shape or form, we'll definitely take a look, and we'll certainly, and we do pay finder's fees as well. So please, by all means, I will put my contact information in the chat box for anyone that would like to reach out to me. So.
Great, thanks, Gabe. Anybody else? Don't be shy. Now's your chance. All right. Okay. I usually run these meetings with my right-hand man, Joe LaBavera, and I run these together. And unfortunately, he can't be on this morning. He sent me a message. He's working on a sizable deal that he's putting together, and it's going to take his attention, and need to get some things done. So that's why he's not on today. But for him, I'll speak for him. He's looking for commercial properties in Rochester. He's a big wholesaler. So if you come across a commercial property or somebody looking to sell something, not sure how to do it, give Joe a call. And then from that, okay. So here now we go into questions. What questions do you have? What's gnawing at you, or what can we do to help, get you going or started or re-going in real estate? It's brand new year. I know it's February. Can you believe it's February already? I don't know where January went. But yeah, what questions does anybody have? Anybody like to bring anything up at this point?
So I think you may have partially already answered it, but one of the barriers I'm running into is that the pricing and then the debt service makes it cost prohibitive, right? What I'm hearing is that it looks like people are going to continue to adjust their pricing to accommodate for the debt service. Is that likely to happen? Continue to happen?
Time will tell. I'll say that. I think the pricing is going to come down. It already has in a lot of major markets. We're a little slower on the uptick here, but I think they still clocked a 12% decline in the Rochester metro since whenever they started tracking the decline, November of last year, maybe October, November. There's more to go because people don't buy houses, they buy payments. And the average income in New York State is not high enough to support the debt service on a single family at what the average rate is going for right now. So they're going to have to make some adjustments based around current interest rates. They don't have a choice, which means older homes are going to be hot, and newer homes, new construction. I'm on the board over at the home builders, and anybody has already started shifting into full-on remodeling or build for rent. Those are really going to be what they see for the next couple of years as their main business models. They're not doing track homes. They're not doing anything other than prepaid offsites and custom build outs. They're not looking to develop, and we're not talking NVRs. We're talking about the local builders. NVR is an outlier, and they're really the only big 20 builder that even plays in New York State. So it's going to be interesting, let's say. It does make Airbnbs very hard to justify if discretionary spending is gone. And I'm going to remind everybody, because I lived through this working at 84 Lumber in 2007, they predicted a soft landing in 2007 too. That's all I'm going to say.
So what are the alternatives? This is an alternative investing group. So what are all the alternatives to being a landlord?
So, I mean, Scott mentioned some of them. He used to do rent to own. He does self-storage. You can still find opportunities with wholesale properties. If you can pick them up, you can still either turn them or grab them up and lease them out. It just depends on what you're comfortable with and what you can find. Wholesalers obviously want to make their money. And there's a lot of them out there right now because everybody thinks, oh, well, I can get started in real estate with no money. Cool. So there's wholesalers out there doing single families and duplexes and multifamilies and whatever, but they're just looking for that assignment fee. The reality is, though, that a lot of these wholesalers that are just getting started have no idea what the real price or value of that home is going to be. So there's a lot of static. And I will say that I've seen more people trying to wholesale out homes that are at inflated prices that'll never make the ARV they're saying, especially in this economy as things are starting to drop. And people just need to be very careful that the numbers work with a value adjustment. And I hate to say it, but the BRRRR method is going to become very difficult because of the debt service. It's just, it's a different game when money's not free anymore. Anything under 4% is free money. And you're getting into a point where mortgage payments are almost double what they were in a lot of cases. It's a little different in New York because of the way the taxes are structured. But in other parts of the country where there's low property taxes and high home values, it can double. Here it's a little bit of a different game. But the overall feeling that I'm getting is that there's more room to come down, and looking into something like hard money lending yourself, getting involved in another asset class like storage or industrial space, stay away from offices, syndicating into an apartment complex. There's still really good strong returns on multifamily, commercial multifamily, not 6 and lower, but actual commercial for buy and hold value add type of properties, if you can find it. Obviously there's a lot of competition on that because everybody's saying there's a housing shortage. There's no housing shortage, for the record. There are more available units in the United States than there are family units. They're just not all located where they need to be located. That's where the shortage comes in. The real problem is that missing middle housing, the workforce housing for people who are employed gainfully and working a 40-hour-a-week job, both people working. They can't afford a mortgage payment right now for that. So builders can't afford to build it and make a profit. Builders can either do low-income housing where the government subsidizes it and they can make money there, or they can make money on the luxury housing. But the middle housing, because of the development costs and the regulations that have come out over the last 20 years, makes it so it's almost impossible to build. Like low-end homes, low-end, like Ryan homes, are at $220 to $250 a square foot outside of New York. In New York, it's $250 to $300. You're not going to find somebody who's looking to live in 1,000 square foot starter home in New York State nowadays. It's just not going to happen. They're not going to pay $300,000 for 1,000 square foot ranch. It's just, it's not realistic. So there's a lot of pieces in the puzzle that have to change for us to get where we need to be, where housing is affordable again for middle income families.
Yeah, perfect. What you said is very true. It's, like for my kids, my son's 32, our daughter's 29. And our daughter lives in Denver, our son lives in California. And our daughter is starting to come into the point where she might be able to buy a house, but I'll date myself here for a minute, Brenda. It's, when I bought my first house at 25, it was affordable. Now it's tough. It's tough for those people. But like Andy was saying, other ways to make money in real estate, I don't know what your current cash situation is, but getting into a syndication to get good returns on your money with people who can manage properties well, that's a great way to go. Lending your money. The meeting next week, if you can make it, you should, everybody on this call, if you can make it, you really should go. I know most of the people on the board, great people, wealth of knowledge. Some of them have some money. I'm not going to say who does and who doesn't. But that's going to be a great meeting. And, like with any deal, we say that's self-storage. Actually, right now, believe it or not, in self-storage, we were talking about last night, I was on a Zoom, and there's an abundance of money right now available. Used to be there's an abundance of deals. Now there's an abundance of money because there's not quite the deals that there used to be. And a lot of people sold their properties, their houses, their rentals, and self-storage and commercial properties at the height of the market. And I did that too. I seen that we're kind of topping out at the market. Let's sell this thing. But now people are sitting on cash and they got put back to work. So there's a lot of lenders out there. So if you find a deal, you're going to find the money. Don't let that ever hold you back or stop you. Don't, like the one that you're looking at in Medina. It may not be a fit for you, but it could be a fit for somebody else. And, if it's a good enough deal and the returns are good enough, people are looking for a 10%, 12% return in some cases. Other cases are looking for a 20% return on their money. And that's not unrealistic. And so right now in my opinion, there's an abundance of money available. So self-storage is a great asset class. It takes a few dollars to get into it, but I'm in some deals with some people that they have no money in the deal, but they have a good amount of equity because they found the deal. And then there's wholesalers like Gabe. He just grinds it out. I mean, he gets a lot more no's than he does yeses, but yet when I talk to him at the end of the day, he usually has a big smile on his face, says he had a great day. I got lots of no's today, and that's okay. Wholesaling, what that means, you find a property at the right price, you put a little bit on top, 10, 20,000, $40,000, and you sell it to somebody else who it's of value to. I know Pat Gallagher, he buys a number of properties from wholesalers. And that's that's another way. And Joe Lavavera is, in my opinion, the largest wholesaler in Rochester and probably in New York. And he's not on the call today, but he's got some great ways to make money at wholesaling. Short-term rentals, what they talked about with Airbnbs. I know a lot of people making a lot of money with those. I don't do it and I don't know those. But there are a lot of people making a lot of money with Airbnbs and VRBOs. So, and that's the type of things that, that we talk about. And there's money to be made in landlording. I did it for a number of years. Just there's a group for that. And Carl Weeks runs it. And I think Pat Gallagher and Beth Gallagher, they run one, and Bob Napier, they all kind of help run those, and they're all great landlords. So that's just some other ways to make money in real estate. Does anybody else have anything to add to that for Brenda? And Brenda, I hope that helps answer your question.
Yeah. Just I want to go back down. The lower sized, multifamilies, 2 to 4. You can get good deals if you move outside of the suburbs. If you move into the city or you move out into the rural areas, there are houses that are for sale with reasonable prices. They may be a little bump and dent, type properties where they might need some work. I will say all of my properties are in the city. So sometimes there are challenges. We self-manage, so sometimes there are challenges with some of the renters. But the profit is there. Basically I get anywhere from a 50 to an 80% cash on cash return from each of my properties. The one I'm buying, the 5 unit that I'm buying, is about a 94% cash on cash return. That's with me occupying one of the units. So I created an LLC for my property management arm for myself. so that everything comes out as a property manager instead of me personally. And then we're going to be occupying that space. Right now, we pick up rents from the tenants that write checks and stuff. This will give them a place to go, so we don't have to chase the rents. Then the rents will come to us instead. So just another perspective on that.
Cool. All right. Thanks, Jay. Thanks for putting on that. Anybody else have any input on that? Leon, if you're on, I know you might have an idea or two. You might be on the phone, but I
Yeah,
know
I
some
mean,
guys are on tech. Oh, hey, Arleon, sorry. We're talking about Brenda asked a question about other ways to make money in real estate and landlord, and we've talked about a few of them. And I know that you might have some experience on like note buying and I don't know, tax liens. I don't know if you're into that big, but if you'd speak on that for a minute, that'd be great.
Yep. I mean, clearly, and I think just mentioned that Andy did a great job of sort of outlining what's happening in the marketplace, and clearly, real estate is one of those things that it just seems like it's in a place and it's so steady, but there's always a shift coming. And right now we are in the midst of a shift in the way that that real estate is being done across our whole marketplace, which is basically for most of the United States. And there are a couple of things. Notes is a good example, and the piece that folks have to be a little careful of. When you're getting into something like notes, it's a different playing field, just like it is with self-storage or other areas where it takes an in-depth knowledge of what's happening and what's going on. But across all those spaces, one of the key things is the numbers. You certainly have to understand the marketplace, but the numbers help you to decide whether something is a good deal or not. And if Carl Weeks was on the line, he would say the real numbers. And for me, the numbers don't count unless they're real and solid. And so whether you're beginning to look at something like notes, which would be new to a lot of the folks here, it is an area to take a look at. And whether we're talking about notes or whether we're talking about pretty much any area associated with real estate investing, it's one of those things where the numbers are the key driving factors. And another area that people might consider, and you mentioned tax liens and tax deeds and those sorts of things. Yep, absolutely is an area that people could take a look at. Have done a fair amount of that. A lot of it down in Texas, which is a little bit of a different state because it's one that is basically structured a little bit different from a judicial perspective. Let's just put it that way. But there are other areas that you could take a look at. I think that for most people, it's probably a safer bet to stay close at with what it is that you know. But at some point in time, the learning needs to start and shift. I mean, Scott is a good example. I mean, his primary space right now is associated with storage, but I can guarantee you over time that's probably going to change too. He's moved across the real estate space quite a bit. When you look at the areas that he's been involved in the past, and it really is about understanding a large component of the technical pieces for each one of the spaces and then applying the numbers to it. That's a simple breakdown of it. And I'm certainly sure Andy would say I'm making it too simple, but it really is an opportunity now to be cautious, but learn a different area and a different space, because things are big. When I say different area, I mean a different area of real estate investing. And most of us that's been around for a while aren't as concerned about what area it is, because the numbers that are the real numbers, the numbers that let you know whether it's a deal or not a deal, those numbers pretty much play the same, whether you're in Syracuse, Rochester, Buffalo, or off in California somewhere. So that's my quick take, Scott.
Great, thanks, Leon. Appreciate that. So, Brenda, did that help at all?
Yeah, except for I'm totally ignorant of, I wonder if Leon could just give me a case study of how that works. How does a notes or a tax lien, how does that work?
Okay, certainly I can do that. So let's take the space associated with notes. So in notes, there are two different things that you could look at. And it basically takes notes and it divides it into notes that are defaulted notes or non-performing notes, is what people like to call it. And then notes that are performing notes, where someone is making the payment every month as they are supposed to be. And large institution have notes for sale. And so people would say, well, why are you interested in a note? And what the heck do you do with that? So there are two pieces that immediately come to mind. You could actually create a note yourself. And if you create a note yourself, it's of course tied to a property in some way or shape or form. And it could be a first position, a second position, or a fifth position note, given where it was in the recording cycle. And basically you're looking at what the yield is and whether or not you can make money by doing it. And so an example would be myself. I bought a note. The property was in Rochester. It was located on Scottsville Road. And so we bought the note. And once we bought the note from the note holder, it was a non-performing note. And so you need to think about, well, what is the strategy that I'm going to use associated with this note? And that's one of the things that you look at going into it. You know what your exit is going to be, just like with a single family house or a multiple or whatever. You know what you're going to be doing with it, and so you do that same thing with a note. So we bought the note, and the quick numbers would be, so we bought the note at $25,000, and we ended up rehabbing and selling the house after the person defaulted on the note for, I think, $149. But we had to go through and do a complete rehab. We worked out an agreement, so the person just gave us the deed in lieu of going through a complete form of foreclosure. Yes, it can get complicated, but it's the things that you would need to learn or have someone holding your hand in the very first transaction that you did. And like Gabe or Scott, you start off, and they're in the space associated with storage. Well, they started off at a spot where they didn't really understand storage and what you do. And so they begin to build their knowledge and their information around that. And that's where you really need to start off. If you are going into a new area of real estate investing, the key pieces are the ones that I talked about earlier, and that is you really need to understand the numbers. You need to understand how things fit. And some of the key pieces are what we've just talked about. Well, what is your true return on investment? How much do you want to be exposed from the standpoint of the dollars that you're going to make and the dollars that you may possibly lose? Okay, and so the back to the project associated with Scottsville. So what we ended up doing was we actually rehabbed the house ourselves to get to that point. But just like pretty much all areas of real estate investing, there are multiple exits. And when you're doing the note investing, you're looking at and saying, well, what am I going to do with this property? Am I going to do item 1, item 2, item 3, item 4, item 5? And I could go through and name those, but that's a heck of a fair amount of time. And what you do is, my approach is highest return, of course, is important, but multiple exits are just as important. So, and one of the exits that we had was, it's here in Rochester. So I'm going to be willing to pay a little bit more for it than maybe someone who's in Florida somewhere. And the reason why is because I know I have my assets that allow me to be successful at rehabbing the property in a way that a person down in Florida wouldn't. So, and you know, the same thing would happen when you're doing tax liens, and bought a lot of tax liens in Texas. And even though it was out of state, it happened to be in Texas, and we bought them in Houston, San Antonio, in various parts of the state, because it operates a lot different than it does here. But there's a learning curve, and for folks who are going into a new space, you have to go through a learning time frame where you build your knowledge. But there's going to be really tough for you to come up with an area where someone that's on this call doesn't have some information about it. And one of the things that I can almost guarantee you is they will be willing to help you and support you with the building of that knowledge base. So hopefully that helped.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Good. Thanks,
Good
Lynn.
morning.
That helped there, Brenda? Jack, go ahead.
Good morning, Scott. I'd just like to ask a general question regarding private money. What's private money requiring, both in the rate right now, range, and points?
It's great that you bring that up, Jack. And I know you joined in late, and we understand that. Next Thursday, I could talk a little bit on that. But next Thursday, I don't know if you heard or not, there's going to be the general meeting at Ferrari's Pizza, and it's all about private lending. They're going to have a panel board there to answer questions. I know most of the lenders on the board, and most of the lenders have different terms. But are you talking about a loan secured by a piece of property?
Yes.
Okay. Typically what I'm seeing is 12% and 2 points up to, I'm hearing 16% and 4 points.
Wow.
Is what I'm hearing. And with private lenders I've been talking to, they know that the federal rate went up, and people that used to loan me money at 10% are like, well, you know, the Fed went up on their rate. I've had inflation, blah, blah, blah. So, you know, I'm having to bump my rates up to, you know, 11 or 12%. So that's what I'm seeing.
What
if it
was non-secured by a property? What's the deal with that? Finding lenders, private lenders.
I am not sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just go out and say that in this economy, good luck getting an unsecured from a private lender. There's so many people looking for loans for secured stuff that if they do it, you're probably talking 24 to 30%, whatever the legal limit is. I think it's
What I'm
32 now.
thinking.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be untenable at best.
Contact your credit card company first. Rate may be lower.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. And if you have a business
point.
loan, you might be able to get a business loan from a local bank, you know, I know people are doing that. That's one thing I've seen tighten up in the last year is banks were freely giving out business loans, and some of them really tightened up on that.
So as far as lending money in the private marketplace, we're seeing what, up to a year on a secured property as average, or?
Yeah, I would say that I'm typically seeing a year to 2 years. The reason for the year to 2 years is a lot of these people are either buying properties and rehabbing them and reselling them, hopefully within a year, or they're buying them, fixing them up, maximizing the value. Then they're going to a bank and say, hey, I have this property, it's performing. Here's what I think it's worth. Will you refinance me? And then, you know, if they bought it for, let's say 80 and now it's worth 150, they go to the bank and the bank will loan them, you know, 70% of 150, which quick numbers at 70 and 30, $100,000.
Mhm.
So, yeah. Yep. That's what we're seeing. So I'm a little fortunate. I have some lenders still lending me money at 10%, which is great. But you know, those conversations are changing a little bit too, because prime's going up. So,
Yeah. And it doesn't matter
Yeah.
whether it's performing residential, multifamily, or commercial, right? Those rates.
well, every deal is different, that's for sure. That's why I say somewhere between 12% and 2 points to I'm seeing 16% and 4 points with some people.
I think Warren Buffett would be jealous.
Yeah. Yeah.
16%.
Yeah.
Well, there's a
Mhm.
reason why he's all liquid right now. He's got more liquid capital available. He's waiting for the rest of the decline, just
Right.
like always. And when it hits bottom
Mhm.
is when you'll see him go from liquid to being back reinvested in the market.
Right.
So
He lives in the house in Omaha that he grew up in.
Right.
Yeah, one of the things that I'm seeing is because I have several people that basically I coach, but it's one of those free things, and it's one of those situations where one of the situations I put it this way, one of the situations that I've noticed is that I used to be able to go to a private lender and say, well, you know, I'm helping this person, so they need to get dollars to you know do this rehab, and they're going to be flipping the property, but I'm going to guide them all the way through. And I've had a couple of lenders who said to me, I'm not taking any more new clients. If you want to get the money to do a flip, then that's fine. I'm more than happy to loan it to you, but I'm not opening up my monies to anyone I haven't already lent to. So I've heard that a couple of times. So I mean, where they can be a lot more selective about what it is that they want to do at this point. And so that's one of the changes that I've noticed, and within the last couple of weeks. And so it's just as you would expect right now. The monies are getting tighter, as other folks have indicated in the call, and this is, in my mind, a perfect example.
Mhm. Okay, and I have a question
Jack,
again for you, Scott.
one question for you, Jack. Are you in Rochester?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. Will you be able to make it to that meeting next Thursday?
What time is it at, sir?
No, it's at Ferrari's Pizza in East Rochester. Networking starts at 5. The general meeting will start at 7, right? Andy and
Yes.
Leon? Yep.
Yep.
7 o'clock, general meeting starts.
Yeah,
so
I'll
there'll be
definitely-
5 or 6 private lenders on a panel there,
Okay.
taking Q&A about rates and requirements and secured, unsecured, all that stuff, based on their own experience and what they're doing in their practice right now.
Yeah, I'll definitely be there. Thank you.
Yep.
Good.
And for anybody who is watching the insane market, if you don't have this book, get this book, because this is literally about what's happening in the stock market right now and what happened in 07. Like animal spirits leading people. This is how the rich, the upper echelon operates. They tell people to stay in, and then they drive the market, and then they sell, and then the market collapses, but their money's already out, and they just rinse and repeat. This is a great book. A little bit of psychology, but it's a worthy read if you can find it.
I have a question for you, Scott. And I know you're big into self-storage and you're very astute to what that's all about. What areas of the country lend it as far as more demand than others? Like, I was thinking in areas where they have more mobile home building, like in Tennessee or Florida. I just wonder if you can share a thought on that as far as demand for the product, self-storage.
That's a good question. There's a demand for self-storage in every market. We're starting to see a shift in storage. And I told people, just relax. It's a season we have to go through. But what we're seeing right now, and this is across, I'm going to say growth areas definitely are the Carolinas, Tennessee, Florida somewhat, but a lot of major players are in Florida, and it makes it a little tough when you're competing with the major players. And then Texas is a good market. Those are good markets for storage because people are moving there. They bring their stuff with them and they don't find a house right away, and then they put it into storage. But a big shift that we're seeing in storage is because of the current economy and inflation, people only have so much money they can spend. They only have so much income. Net income has to go towards housing, food, medical, utilities, and the necessities in life. People aren't buying those other toys and things like that they used to. So therefore, the need for storage is shifting, where people don't need quite the storage that they used to. Plus, they only have so much income. Well, something's got to give, and they're not going to pay for their storage, or they're going to keep stuff in their garage. So they don't have that extra $50 or $100 a month for storage because the way the economy is right now and inflation. But the shift we're going to see I'm kind of thinking this is going to happen. Banks can now foreclose on people. For years, banks couldn't really foreclose on people, and it's unfortunate. A lot of these people weren't paying their mortgages and all that for various reasons. And don't get me wrong, there, job changes and things like that, but banks have not been able to foreclose because of COVID and other things. But now they can. So what's going to happen is these people that have these 3,000 square foot houses are going to have to move. They're going to have to downsize. They're going to go to a 1,500 square foot house or whatever. But they're not going to get rid of their stuff. So they know they're going to, they want to keep their stuff and they can't keep it in their house. So they're going to move it into self-storage. So I think over the next 6 to 8 months, we're going to see that shift. May take a little bit longer, but so people aren't moving in because they don't have the extra income now. But with the foreclosures, people are going to have to put their stuff somewhere, and then they tend to go to storage. So, does that help, Jack?
Yeah, thank you. What about the deal with RVs? Do you see any kind of major demand for RV storage? At least let's say if they're in Florida for the winter and the park, they don't have any storage at the park. Is there demand for just pulling it out of the park and putting it in storage somewhere? And then, because it's pretty expensive to keep trailering these things all around. You're looking at probably 8 miles a gallon.
Yeah. I give the people the biggest example I give to people is my RV. It gets 6 miles a gallon. It is a diesel, which I get 6-7 miles a gallon, which isn't too bad. And when diesel was $6 a gallon, it cost me a mile every gallon, a dollar every mile I drove. And what's happening, Jack, you're right. A lot of people are coming off the road with their RVs. They just, with diesel prices the way they are, gas prices, inflation, all that, they just can't afford the extra money to do that. So a lot of them are pulling their RVs off the road, putting them into storage. And we're starting to see an uptick in that, and people starting to park their boats and RVs in storage facilities. Another thing too is if you live in a place that has an HOA, a lot of HOAs are brutal. They will not let you park a vehicle outside of your garage. And so we're starting to see people having to move their boats and RVs from their yard driveway into self-storage. So we're definitely seeing an uptick in that too. Yeah.
Thank you.
Does that answer your questions there, Jack?
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Okay, great. Alrighty, good. What other questions do people have? It's been good so far. We got a small group, which I like because everybody kind of gets to ask their questions, and who else has a question to ask or some input to give on anything? I know Gabe's busting at the seam to ask a question. And he's always so polite, he always waits.
I don't have a question, but can I just say something? I mean, like that I learned I want to try to contribute to the group that it kind of clicked with me this week. Maybe it's beating a dead horse, maybe it's not, but in our real estate, all of us are real estate investors, and what we do is we build relationships. And we've been talking about it for quite a while and stuff, like off and on the meetings. And it's kind of funny how sometimes when you hear about something, it just clicks. And I just want to contribute how important relationships are, because in this past 2 weeks, I've built, okay, let me give you 3 examples. One example was this facility that we're going to put under contract in Texas. The guy, I've been dealing with him for actually a year, believe it or not, because last year didn't want to sell, now he wants to sell. But the thing of it is, though, is that I've been talking to him and trying to, and we've been trying to negotiate a price with him and what have you. But somehow the conversation I had with him organically happened. And all of a sudden we just started up this conversation and just talk. And at the end of it, he said to me, I'm going to go with you because I like you the best. I like talking to you the best. You're fun to talk to, or we get things, we have a lot in common. And yet, I know there's going to be some people that you're going to talk to. They're like, oh, you just don't hit it off. And not saying I hit it off with this guy, but the point I'm trying to make is that, I started talking to this guy. We just built. I built a rapport and started this relationship. Now we're like in a phase 2 of getting him to sign the agreement. And by the end of the week, early next week, we're going to have an agreement signed. The point again is that I built that relationship, and because he likes me more than 3 other guys, that he could have easily gone to. Another scenario I want to point out is that there's this lady in Wyoming who I've been dealing with since I think winter of this year. But the thing is with her, though, is that she wants to retire. She has a laundromat, she has other businesses, but the storage facility is her baby. Now, what I did was this week, I think it was Tuesday, I talked to her. I just sat on the phone and I just listened. And I just said, how can I help you? And I just let her talk. And she just got it all out of what she wants to do with the storage, how it's her baby, how she doesn't want to let it go, but she knows she has to let it go. And she has to figure out her exit strategy and all this stuff. And just sit and shut your mouth. And I'm serious with that because, because that's how people, and she goes, there are a lot, what she also said to me? There's a lot of local people that, that have wanted to buy my facility, but I kind of like you because you seem to know what you're talking about. Okay, that's cool. I appreciate that. And, I send her our credentials and what have you and stuff like that, of course. But the fact is, though, and she goes, I feel better now that I talked to you. And I didn't say a thing. But she says, but in May, I'm in Arizona right now. I'm going to go back up to Wyoming in May. Call me after Mother's Day. Let's see what we can do. Just by doing nothing. Not by doing nothing. I don't mean that way. I'm sorry. But just by saying nothing. And the relationship is built that way as well. So, guys, again, I'm going to talk to you like how we talk about relationships on the meeting and on the meetings off and on. But it's kind of funny. These two past examples, it just clicked for me. And it's like, Gabe, shut your freaking mouth. Let them talk, or just conversation, And look, here we are. I'm going to have this lady hopefully sign an agreement with me. And even if it takes longer, even maybe it'll take a few more months. But the fact is that she still likes me more because I developed that relationship. And that's how important it is. And I just want to stress it upon people that, it's kind of funny that, and I have like phone calls to make. I'm like, all right, get on the phone. Next one. Well, sometimes you just got to take your time because if you get that one deal and it's a home run, well, guess what? You just paid your whole year. So, sometimes it takes a little bit of patience and just being quiet to make the home run deal. So I think I just wanted to kind of impress upon everyone that it's kind of cool how, all those things I learned, and maybe I didn't learn, or I did learn, but all those things we were talking about, and it's just how all of a sudden it's just like, oh, so that's what they're talking about. That's what I was trying in relationships. I'm like, yeah. And now I maybe I'm rambling, so I'll just be quiet. But yeah, so that's the deal, guys, is that it's important to just establish those relationships with people, and they'll like you more because you talk to them or you let them talk and all that stuff. And it I'm telling you, it goes like butter. So check it out.
Yeah, great advice. Thanks for sharing that. And that's one thing I'll say Gabriel's very good at is building those relationships with people. I realize how important it is. It does take time when you're sitting on the phone. Yeah, you could make 20 other phone calls, or you can sit and listen to this person talk for a half hour. But they will remember you. And that's one thing that he's good. He's very good at. So, cool. Thanks, Gabe. All right. What else do you guys have for questions or input?
I just want to thank you, Scott. I just wanted to ask Andy a question, opinion. I think they're going to retest the lows of October in the stock market. I just wondered if you could shed an opinion on that. I don't think we're done.
I'm still saying we're not at the bottom yet. So like the unemployment number is garbage because people have been on unemployment and run out of their benefits and they can't renew. So the unemployment number is doctored. The number you need to watch is total employment. Total employment is at like 62.2, which is still like a 15-year low. Well, not 15 years. I guess it was 62.1 a couple of months ago. So it did go up by 0.1%, but the numbers don't add up. The job creation numbers don't add up unless they're counting part-time jobs, which we know they are. So it's not people picking up new jobs. Employment rate has stayed the same. It's people picking up part-time jobs to make up for their lack of income on their normal gig. So they're working 2 jobs or 3 jobs instead of working 1. So like this disinflation that they're talking about, the healthy labor market, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors there that are caused by people running out of their benefits during COVID. Like if they started on unemployment getting benefits in 2020, 2021, they get them for, what was it, up to a year or up to 18 months or something like that. It's all gone. Like they're not getting it anymore. And they didn't return to the workforce because the total employment numbers didn't go up. So they're just not working. I don't know how they're living, but they're not working. So the reality is that it's a huge amount of smoke and mirrors driven by political pressure and appearances, and I don't know who you can trust. So we're not at the bottom on the stock market. We're not at the bottom on housing price declines. Just buckle up. It's going to be an interesting couple of years.
I know when the stock market hits that second low again, repeats the low, then people will really shudder, and they shut down psychologically and emotionally. They stop doing everything. Purchases, I'm talking about, including real estate.
Yeah. Well, we're seeing it. You know, there's a few people who are really deeply involved in the Airbnb side of real estate investing, and if you're not, if the Airbnb is out there and it's not in the right location, servicing the right class of client, they're dead. They're not making money. They can't pay their mortgages. And they're calling it Airbnb apocalypse right now. Between the East Coast is now pushing similar rules to what the West Coast did a couple of years ago, with basically regulating and zoning them out and making it illegal to operate an Airbnb or a Vrbo in residential neighborhoods that aren't already deeply involved in that, in you know, vacation hotspots. And debt service is crushing people who are looking to get into it and do Airbnb arbitrage. Like, there's just, it's a bloodbath, but people aren't talking about it yet because, again, like animal spirits, they're trying to prop up the economy and get people into it so they can get out. It's going to be interesting. There's going to be a lot of changes, and you're going to see a lot of things, business models that worked for the last 5 to 10 years because of free money are going to collapse in on themselves because they're not going to be viable anymore. It's going to go back to real estate investing based on strong fundamentals from, you know, pre 2010 era practices.
Thank you.
And that's a good point that you bring up, Andy, is a lot of these people that took those low interest loans 3, 4, 5 years ago are now being reset because those were adjustable rate mortgages. I highly suggested to people pay the little bit of extra interest and lock that rate in. A lot of people went with the ARM because they were saving 0.5% interest. And now when it comes reset time, they're going to be in a bad situation, unfortunately. Like Gabe and I said, there was a lot of storage deals at the price point. They worked at 4% interest. They still want that price point, but the numbers don't work at 8% interest. And that's what people are going to start seeing in the Airbnb business. And that's where, like, with what Andy was saying about Warren Buffett and that being in a cash position, we're talking about this in storage. You want to be in a cash position to be able to come in and help these people. It's a season that we're going through. We're going to go through it. If you're in a cash position, you're going to be able to help some of these people that are going to be in a tight situation here coming up. We're not taking advantage. We're just helping people with this situation, saying, hey, we'll get you through this situation. And, but there's going to be an equity position that people are going to want. And that's what Warren Buffett does. When he buys stocks or something like that, it's underperforming. He's actually buying equity in a company. And that's a smart move. But yeah, we're going to start seeing that with the interest rate reset on a lot of people, I think, unfortunately. So, yeah. It's not all doom and gloom, though. Trust me. If you're in real estate, stay in real estate, because if you can get through this cycle now, when we come out of it on the other side, you're going to be doing awesome. There's still deals to be made. Gabe is still finding deals in self-storage. I'm still finding deals in self-storage. Joe LaBear is still wholesaling. His business has not slowed down. So, you just have to, look at what other people are doing and just do things a little bit differently, like Warren Buffett does. He sells when people are buying and he buys when people are selling. That's it. Cool. All right. Our question. Anybody else have any other questions? I know we usually go to about 10:30. And we can wrap this up. If somebody else has something else to say about, and not so much questions. If you have something you want to add about where you think the economy is going or where real estate's going, share that. Like I said, if you're new on this, don't feel like this is doom and gloom. Just stick through it. It's a great time to learn. Not now that maybe things are slowing down a little bit, it's a great time to learn. And then when things pick back up or you find a niche that works, you'll be ready to jump on that and take advantage.
Yep. If you look at history, every single, not every single, but a vast majority of people who went from zero to multimillionaire did it coming off the tail end of an economic collapse, an economic downturn. Like, you just have to be prepared and understand how the market works and not listen to the bull crap in the press. Like, you just need to use common sense. Just because a talking head on TV says something is true doesn't actually make it true. Like, there's common sense that goes into it. Like, the economy's great, buy all this stock right now, it's great dividend stock. Yeah, is it though? Because like Home Depot right now, their high I think on their stock was like $400 and it's down in the twos now. And on their earnings call a couple months ago, they said we're not even going to predict 2023 because we're pretty sure that economic contraction and housing starts are going to go down and it's going to be a bloodbath. So yeah, we're not going to tell you our stocks are going to lose money and you won't get dividends in 2023, but we're basically saying we're going to say that. You're going to see contraction, you're going to see slowing, you're going to see turns go down, you're going to see margins drop. It's going to get bad. And when they're saying it publicly on an earnings call about something that wasn't even their year-end call, their year-end call isn't going to happen for another month. So it's yeah, it's going to be entertaining.
Cool. Ready? Well, good, everybody. I think we answered everybody's questions. And if nobody else has anything, let you go do some real estate business. Give you an extra 10 minutes. You can make 3 phone calls in 10 minutes, Gabe, right? How many phone calls can you make in 10 minutes, Gabe?
About 5.
All right. All right. So just jump on the phone, call one person you haven't talked to before on real estate and find yourself a deal. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and end this. That's okay with everybody else. No, we'll catch you all. I hope to be on next week. We'll see for the meeting with the panel. If their Zoom works, Andy, keep me posted on that. And then go do real estate. Bye, everybody.
Good meeting, thanks.
Yep, bye.
Thanks, Jack.